Guys, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good, man. I guess, I hope everybody's not having heart palpitations or their cheeks are clenched a little too tight. Because, man, was that a game? Instant reaction, man. Definitely more of a game than it should have been, in my opinion. I think this is a team we should have blown out. We got, offensive woes. We can talk about defensive woes. We can talk about even special teams woes today, man. So overall, every aspect of the game, there was mistakes made. So we have a lot to go over, a lot to talk about, guys. Of course, it's nice to have the victory today. And, I feel good about beating the Raiders, but it's still embarrassing that we let them compete to the limit that we did. It's pretty damn ridiculous if you ask me, man. I understand the new quarterback, and Jarrett Stidham taking over for Carr. There's a different element to it. He plays a little differently. He's a little more mobile, and mobile quarterbacks tend to give the 49ers a lot of trouble, man. So yeah, man. Great to have the victory, but in the fashion that we did, it's promising. There's definitely some positives to it, but I would have liked to just blown the Raiders out, which we can't always do to all the teams. But the Raiders were definitely a team that I wanted to blow out, of course. You know, I guess, we could say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Hopefully, the 49ers kind of learn from their mistakes that they made today, because they made a lot of them. I definitely don't think the refs were helping. I don't know what the hell was going on with those guys today. I know before the game, one of the topics that we've talked about throughout the week was that the group of referees that was supposed to be coming into to what's the damn word for it? But ref the game, basically. I guess they are the highest flagging group of referees in the league. So that didn't bode well for the game. I think we saw it today, overusage of those flags in critical moments that we didn't need them in. So it's pretty whack. This is a call-in show today, guys. I would like for everybody to please like and subscribe. Even if you're not here live, if you're here post live stream, please still stop, like, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I'm gonna, you know what? I guess I'm gonna talk about. I know I got some of you guys backstage. Just give me a moment. I'm gonna talk about some of the good stuff that happened today, right before the game. Like I told you guys, we were talking about in my other live streams that the 49ers, if the Eagles were to lose today and lose out for the rest of the season, and the 49ers win out for the rest of the season, we get that number one seed. And we would get to find out before this 49ers Raiders game whether the Eagles were going to lose. And sure enough, the Saints pulled it out. I told you guys there was hope there. The Saints, they held us to 13 points against a pretty damn good offense with a lot of good weapons. And they scored 20-10, man. So Saints, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're sorry for beating you, but we appreciate you guys beating the Eagles for us today, as well as the Packers beating the Vikings today. That was awesome. 2 games, I told you guys, I had faith in these 2 teams to beat these other 2 teams for us to get the number 1 seed. 49ers are number 2 now. As long as the Eagles lose to their division opponent next week and the 49ers win against their division opponent next week, we're the number 1 seed, baby. So let's get into some of these calls, man. I have a lot of topics to go over. I know I've had you guys waiting for a while. Hopefully, I'm going to check on Eric Wallace real quick. I checked on him before the show, so hopefully he's ready to go right now. Eric, I'm going to add you to the stream, so be ready.
Yes,
Eric.
Sir.
Hey.
How you doing, bud?
Man? Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing all right.
Right on. I heard some good news about the Seahawks today. That buddy that I always see at the sports bar gave me some news about the Seahawks today. Do you have any idea? Okay? So he came up to my table.
I know they won.
Yeah, he came up to my table. He was giving his hellos, his Happy New Year's, all this stuff. He's like, dude, guess what, man? We won today, and if who is it? Who is it next week? The Packers. If they beat the Lions next week, and you guys win, if you guys win next week, you guys are in the playoffs for the Seahawks.
Nice.
So congratulations to that. I know, that has to feel good, being ruled out at the beginning of the season by basically every analyst there is known to mankind.
Oh yeah.
So congrats to you, man. But what kind of thoughts you got going on today that you want to get out?
Well, I think had a pretty good game today. I mean, it was not pretty, but at the end of the day, it's the result that matters, and it was the right result.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
sir.
was. Yeah, it was definitely the right result.
Tough fought win, definitely not a pretty win. What was I gonna say? Yeah, we have Shifty. You're gonna be next, and then Brian Culp. But yeah, Eric Wallace. Yeah, man, exactly. I didn't get to watch the Seahawks game. How did that go outside of the win?
I think it went pretty well. I mean, they didn't. I don't believe they gave up a touchdown today, so that's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But
Right on.
mainly I got to spend a lot of time with the family today.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
Yep.
focused on the football today. I didn't get to spend as much time with the family, but a little.
Yep.
They're hanging out at the grandfather's house right now. But
Right.
is that all you got for today, Eric?
Yeah, I think I'm good, bud.
All right, Eric. Hey, I appreciate you tapping in, man, as always, and good luck to you guys, man.
Thank
Hope
you,
you get
sir. Have
that
a good
that
night
that.
now.
All right, brother. Take care. Shifty, you're coming on next. Are you ready, buddy? Yep. All right, here we go. We're going with Shifty's 49ers talk. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I like the jersey, man. I'm doing good to a certain
Little
extent.
Navarro Bowman.
Yeah, I got an autographed one. Did you hear about that?
You from Navarro?
Not specifically from him. I got it in a silent auction, but
That's cool, man. Hey,
I
good
have
for
that
you,
one
dude.
that one and a Brandon Ayuk. I actually saw one in a silent auction of Debo Samuel's signed helmet in Fresno not too long ago. That was pretty cool. At a
No
Dave and
shit. Yeah,
Buster's.
I think Navarro. I mean, Navarro is one of my favorite players. It was a bummer that he had that horrible injury against Seattle
Yeah.
in the playoffs, and that kind of shortened the career, of course. But yeah, Navarro and Willis, they were like the Bash brothers, like the original duo. Now we have like Greenlaw and Warner, but it was Navarro and it was Bowman and Willis who were like the original guys.
Yeah, they're badass, man. That tandem is legendary. I'm gonna bring in Brian real quick, just so we can all kind of have like a little round table. Brian, you
Totally.
ready?
I love Brian. Brian's a great guy.
All right, cool. We can bring Brian in. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Nice jacket, as always, and nice hat. Nice hat.
Brian, looking good, man. Looking good.
Hey, thanks, guys. And yeah, I'm sporting my. This is my birthday gift. Yeah,
Kittle.
my brother got me he got me the jersey this year, and he gave it to me in the garage, and I sit down, and I was wearing my Jimmy Garoppolo jersey, and I start opening up the package, and I'm like, oh man, this feels soft. And the next thing I'm speculating in my head, like, what did he get me, like a sweatshirt or something? And I pull it out, and it's Kittle, and I'm a big emotional guy. Maybe I'm too emotional. I wear my heart on my sleeve,
and
I start crying. Yeah, so I take my glasses off and I put it on the couch because I gotta put it on. I gotta put the new jersey on. And I go outside, because my whole family's there. And I come back in, I got the new jersey on, and I sit right there on top of my glasses. And right when I got like halfway through the seat, I'm like, oh, I know what I just did. So it was a great gift. I ended up ruining my glasses the same night, but it's a great.
That's what Christmas is all about, though. You get a great present with family, and you're having a good time, and that's awesome, Brian. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kittle's actually somebody we're going to talk about later, but first I want to get Shifty. I want to get your overall thoughts about the game today.
I don't think anyone could say that they expected the game to go the way that it did. No one would say they thought it would be a high scoring overtime game. If they do, then they're lying to you. But let's be honest. Like Vegas didn't see it happening, and I didn't hear anyone saying that it's going to be a high scoring game. You know what? I mean, like, I think there's good and bad to take from this game. I think, like, if we start with the bad, of course, the defense didn't look great. And I think one of the issues with the defense is the fact that, like, and we've seen it in multiple games, but like, if Bosa's not rushing the passer, then nobody is. Like, you look at the San Francisco 49ers, let's say the sack numbers. Bosa, 17 and a half sacks, but the next player below that is like about like over 10 sacks below that. So there's no consistent rush. I thought the defense didn't play aggressive. They didn't play with intensity. They didn't play with discipline. You look at like I think it was Devontae Adams, not the crazy catch he had in the corner of the end zone with Mooney Ward, the other touchdown he had that was like 60 yards. And you look at the Niner defense on that play, and they were just completely undisciplined. They were maybe trying to stop Stidham running the football as opposed to guarding or, looking after Devontae Adams. It was just, but overall, like, looking at the game, I think the defense, this is a wake-up call. And here's the thing, like, that's a bad thing. Look, we gave up 34 points. It's a very bad thing. But the good thing is this happened in a game that we won, and this happened in a regular season game, and we still won the game. So, but offensively, I thought the team looked great. Christian McCaffrey ran the ball really well. Brock Purdy looked really poised. We saw Ayuk had a bad drop. Kittle, I thought this was actually one of Kittle's worst games that he's had in this season. He had a penalty in terms of a holding penalty, dropped some passes, the interception that Brock Purdy threw. I thought Kittle could have done a lot more on that play. I thought he could have, even to try and turn himself into like a defensive back and swat the ball away, but he didn't do that. So I think Kittle needs to improve in that aspect. But outside of that, I thought, look, there's every team, if you look at every Super Bowl team, like the last time there's been an undefeated team in the NFL was 1972. We're talking like 50 years ago. So every team that's won a Super Bowl has lost games. Teams will have bad games. And I think this was a bad game, but here's the difference is that our bad game, we still won, and it was on the road. So I think it was a huge win for the 49ers. I think Brock Purdy was great. I think down the stretch, Ayuk was great. And there was a lot of positives to take away from it. But there's things to work on. But I'd rather work on these things in week 17 as opposed to in the playoffs. And I'll leave it there.
100%. I think part of the problem with the pressures too as well is like, I mean, of course, the 49ers are almost just always rushing 4 to begin with. And then even when they're rushing 4, at least disguise the coverage to make it look like a blitz, because then the offensive linemen get thrown off with their assignments. So I didn't see enough of that, I don't think. With Kittle, that's exactly one of the things that I wanted to talk about. But Brian, I'll let you go ahead and give your overall thoughts of the game as well, man.
Well, okay, I'm going to piggyback off of just about everybody. And first off, maybe like this is off of the top of my head, shout out to New England, because they've had a lot of quarterbacks that's went to different places, and maybe they just have a really good quarterback system overall. But when you seen Stidham standing there and, he's getting ready to call out his cadence, and he stops and he calls out the mic, or he calls out, this or this, and it totally disrupted the coverage. The defense just totally stopped. There was times where you seen it, they were going to blitz. They were going to blitz, and he stops and points out somebody, and then they had to stop, and then, then they're going to act like they're going to blitz, and then they don't blitz, and then they do blitz. And like what you were saying, they usually only rush 4, and the only normally person's getting any consistent pressure is Bosa. So that is a cause of alarm. But with that, with that type of quarterback, and him only being really a starter for maybe one game or a couple games, he really totally had control of the offense, control of the pocket the whole time, and he totally felt comfortable against our defense. I don't want to say our defense didn't come to play. I just think we were just over aggressive. And we were talking a little bit earlier today on your show. I really feel like the biggest weakness of this defense is the dink and dunk. We have good corners, we have good safeties, we have good linebackers, we have good line, good defensive line, but you can beat us in coverage. And it's if we can't get to you fast enough with our defensive line, you're going to find someplace in a blown coverage. And that's what Davante Adams did. And he did it a couple times today. Nobody was open, and then boom, he caught the ball. And he made some athleticism, very, very good catches. And then there was some times where he just manhandled it. And then there was times where he was just completely open because maybe he just is more of a skilled player, a route runner, or just knew, hey, backyard football, let me break away and let me just fight for my quarterback. And for the whole Raider team to come out too and just fight the way they did with the whole upset of Carr and the transition of the locker room. Every time we play the Raiders, it seems to be a bloodbath. It really does. And I did predict 28-3, but I also said this game would be a very close game because this is just kind of how it goes. And I didn't want to lose this game, but for this game to go back and forth and for all the people say, Purdy needs to have a game where he has to, come from behind or he has to show something. The guy shows he's definitely shown he's got the moxie. He's got it. So I'm very excited.
That's definitely something we talked about. And like you said, that's the issue with this defense is, they're letting people dink and dunk, other teams dink and dunk consistently, but that goes with any soft coverage. That's why I've been asking for D'Amico to call more press coverage. But I'm going to let Shifty get some of his thoughts off real quick because I know we've been talking for a little while.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, look, every team every good team, like they will have a bad game here and there. And for me, when I look at the defense, like after like the first 2 or 3 drives, I thought that I had kind of predicted in my preview video for this game that I thought in the first drive the Raiders would do well because Stidham he's an unknown. But people don't know about him. But here's the thing too. Yeah. He's been in the NFL for 4 years. He's been in the Josh McDaniels offense for 4 years. It's not like he's a rookie. He's not like a Brock Purdy. He's not like a rookie. He's not like a Bailey Zappi or Brock Purdy type guy. He's been in the NFL for 4 years and there's a reason why the Raiders brought him in because he's familiar with Josh McDaniels. And I would assume that Josh McDaniels thinks relatively highly of him, not only because, but you look at, they were like, oh, Derek Carr, you're done. Like you're done for the last 2 games. And the Raiders actually have like a good offense, like Josh Jacobs, number 1 running back in the NFL. Terms of rushing yards. We all know Davante Adams. Darren Waller has been injured for most of the year. We all know Darren Waller was a huge mismatch today. Like he destroyed Hufanga, destroyed anyone we put on him. And we're lucky that later in the game that Waller actually dropped a big pass. So I think when it comes down, when I think about this game, I think about like the defense, of course, the defense needs to be a lot better. But I think the offense really held its own. And that was like, but that's something that like, I don't see this game as a negative. I'm sure a lot of 49er fans are going to be like, well, we should have beat them by 20 points. And I'm like, Brock Purdy faced adversity. He's going to face adversity in the playoffs. I don't care who it is. He will face adversity in the playoffs, but it's a good thing that now he got to experience that, not only adversity, but also on the road. So when I think about this game, I just think that the Niners defense really, it's hard to kind of quantify and it's hard to say something tangible about it, but it's something that where I was like, the intensity was lacking, the aggressiveness was lacking. And I thought that they were kind of playing in, they weren't playing in like their like first gear. It was like, they were like kind of playing apprehensive the whole game. And I would like to assume that won't happen come the playoffs. But I think what's really impressive to me in this whole game is the fact that, like the 49ers came away with a win. I think that this was an obvious trap game. This was a game that I think people were like, oh, well, the Niners might lose this game. But the Niners all game long, even though at one point in the second half we were down by 10 points, we won this game. And if you look at any NFL team, like since the 72 Dolphins, like teams have lost games and they still went on to win the Super Bowl. So I think, can we still win the Super Bowl? Of course. But I think the Raiders, I think this is a great learning opportunity, and it sure better be. Like, I don't want to see it. Look, if it's next Saturday or Sunday, whenever the Niners play the Cardinals, if David Blau at quarterback is like putting up 300 yards and 30 points on our defense, then yeah, I'll be concerned. But I think this is a really good thing for the Niners, where, D'Amico Ryans, the coaching staff, and the players get to see, like, hey, here's where we went wrong. And it was wild game, fun game to watch. But I'll very transparently, I did not think we would give up nearly this many points to like the Raiders. That's kind of, especially with Stidham.
Yeah, for real. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, yeah, I didn't think we'd give up as many points either, but I kind of did honestly feel like this could be a shootout with the quarterback change or without. Carr is more of a deep threat than this guy is, and we are probably really honestly lucky that Carr wasn't in the game for the continuity that he has with this team and stuff like that. The Raiders really had a game plan for us, and I think they punched us in the mouth. Again, I think we were a little bit over aggressive trying to get to that sack record, but the rest of the team did kind of seem like they were in a little bit of a fog, and then maybe a little bit over aggressive, like maybe Fred Warner was trying to be the game hero in certain times, and there were some bonehead penalties, but that happens in every game. But I really felt the Niners overall felt confident in this game, but they did have to come from behind, and even when they felt like they were coming from behind, I really truly felt that there was a chance. And when I seen Robbie Gould, kick it crooked, he didn't kick it crooked necessarily. It was a bad kick. It almost went in, and I'm just like, wow, this is really giving them a chance. And I mean, like, then I started thinking, this is in Vegas, only in Vegas, right? So it definitely made it a nail biter. And with us being like over 60% of the crowd and stuff, I mean, it really did feel like a home game. But then I'm just, this is one of those games. I'm really glad the Niners can hopefully like learn from this. And, with you guys on the phone right now, on YouTube, in the AFC right now, we got like the Packers potentially making it to the playoffs, the Lions potentially, we got the Giants, the Cowboys, the Seahawks could potentially make it. We got Cowboys, I said already. We got the Eagles and Vikings, and off the top, maybe the Eagles, Vikings. Those are the only two passing teams that I really see that could exploit us. So at this point, I mean, like Detroit, they're hot. Seattle, they always have our number. If Green Bay gets in, that's going to be a tough game. But like if the Commanders or I don't see the Giants doing this to us. I really don't. And Minnesota, if they play the way they played today, then I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I'm not going to crown us yet. I want to keep going. But man, if we can get that number 1 seed, I think we're doing really, really good.
Well, and I think, Brian, you're totally right. But honestly, and like the reason that I'm here is that, like, Wolf, I want to hear your thoughts on the game, man.
Yeah, you got us.
That's the reason. That's why I'm here. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, really, I have a lot of thoughts that I'll probably have to waterfall into tomorrow and do a whole nother show. But this is a call-in show for all the 49er fans to get our thoughts across. And I was just going to piggyback off what you guys are saying, which, like, one of the things is I agree with you guys, both of you. And I think there was a lot of conservatism. And I said it before we came into the game, how conservative are you going to be with the defense? And that's part of why this defense has been healthy is conservative defense, zone coverage, that not asking the defenders to do too much cutting back and forth where you're risking tendon injuries or muscle strains and stuff like that. So how much of that was a factor today of just trying to keep guys healthy while trying to do enough to win the game? Very big question mark in my eyes. That's something that only the coaches know, I think, man. So I'm very curious about that. We're gonna have to see with the Cardinals game. I'm still unhappy about how this game played out to a certain extent, but Purdy, his poise, was something that we're looking. This is something we said in the pregame show. We said one thing that Purdy has not have to overcome was the adversity yet. So we would like to see that he can overcome that situation. Better he's not put in that situation. We just dominate teams, and that's even better. But as far as going forward in the quarterback situation for the 49ers, he gives us a lot of hope that he can, like Raphael 5629er says right here, Purdy came back from being down 10 points and won. And actually, today was the first time that Purdy, since he's gotten the starting job, that he has come into the second half trailing. So he was put in that position, man. He came out of it. Offensive game, he did it, man. I love it. There were certain moments where he didn't look as poised as in other games. He looked a lot more pressured. He got rid of the ball faster when I think he could have taken a little more time, found another wide open receiver and hit them for a touchdown or even just a bigger completion. But he did more than enough to win today, man. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, man. You guys got any thoughts outside of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think, what's obviously going to really help the 49ers moving forward is like when you look at, I mean, we don't know like the schedule for next week, the games and everything, but like Deebo Samuel should be back. He was practicing this week. The Niners said, hey, you're not playing against the Raiders, but to me, if you're the 49ers, assuming that he practices this week, you probably put Deebo out there maybe for like 10 or 15 snaps, let him get the ball. But Deebo is another game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all know what Deebo Samuel can do. And when you give Purdy another game changer, and even in the game where he got hurt, like Deebo was having a great game. And look, he ran it inside, he got hurt. That's a bummer, of course. But when it comes down to it, like we're going to have another weapon who is widely considered as one of the better offensive weapons in the NFL. Yeah. And I think that's of course going to help Brock Purdy. That's going to help the offense. And to me, when it comes to the 49ers, but my whole question that I would like to see answered, and I thought it would be answered, but it hasn't been, is we need someone outside of Bosa to get pressured.
Yeah.
Like when we look back to like the 49ers, and like I know people say, well, this year's 49ers statistically is better than the 2019 49ers. And I get that. Fair enough. Maybe it is statistically, but 2019, when it was Bosa, Armstead, Buckner, and D Ford in the playoffs, that was the be all. That was like the creme de la creme. That was like no matter like whether you run or pass, we're going to stop you.
Yeah, you're screwed.
And I think the 49ers this year are still trying to figure that out. I mean, when it comes to like, let's say if I see a team and if it's like 3rd and 9 and they're in an obvious pass situation, like this year, I'm like, look, you have Bosa, you have Armstead, you probably have Ebukam, and who's the 4th guy? Maybe it's Kinlaw if you want to try and avoid maybe the screen pass. Maybe it's Kerry Hyder with his veteranship. But like to me, the 2019 defense was the elite defense because you could put those 4 guys out there. They'll get pressure and they're also great against the run. So I think that when it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to like facing the elite teams, that's going to be our biggest issue is that I think that number one, we're going to have to blitz guys, whether that's Hufanga, Warner, Greenlaw, whoever else, Jimmy Ward. But I don't think that this team can actually get pressure with 4 guys, especially when teams are like, they'll keep their tight end in there for an extra second to chip Bosa, and then you have like the right tackle there to, slow him down. So,
not often enough.
I'd love to see maybe D'Amico adjust to that. Whether that's look, and we haven't seen a lot of it. Maybe you move Bosa inside. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But there's a lot of different things that the Niners need to. If we want to have like And I think statistically we're a great defense, but and deservedly so. But I think there's room for improvement, and I think that we've seen it game after game where if Bosa's not getting pressure, then no one's getting pressure, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that's something that actually I was going to mention. I forgot that D'Amico Ryans. I was, like I was saying, I was thinking about it the whole game. I'm like, why are we not blitzing more? Why this dude? We're getting 4 defenders, and all 4 of them are going all the way around the quarterback. He's just running right down the middle every damn play. Mobile quarterbacks, that's our issue. We're not containing, first and foremost. When you add a blitzer and have him go down the middle, that kind of shuts things down like that. D'Amico Ryans did not make the adjustment till like the last 2 drives of the game. That's why we had that success. And I think actually the one where Bosa bull rushed and got that throw batted, or not batted, but deflected. I think they rushed 4 on that one, but by mixing up the coverages and mixing up the blitzes, kept them guessing a little more at least. And at least D'Amico Ryans, he made the adjustment and didn't just stick with the Robert Saleh game plan where they just call the same thing over and over again and let guys complete on third down. I can't talk. Third down conversions every time, man. So
no, you're right.
You're right. Sooner next time. But like you said, it's week 17. Who knows how conservative they're being with it. And everybody, real quick, I'm going to let Brian speak on this, on what we're talking about here. But if you guys have any comments or questions specifically for us that you want to get across, please throw 4 flames in your comment or question so I know to get to it. So 4 flame emojis in your comment / question.
Love the jacket, Brian. That's so awesome.
Oh, Shifty. Right. Shifty, are you ready? Are you ready? Do you see it? Do you see it? It's the reverse.
Oh, inside.
What the?
It's the reversible one,
right?
Yes, oh, yeah. It's the reversible one. I got this in a thrift store for $30.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you, when the Niners are having losing seasons, go to thrift stores. I'm telling you, like, we're forever faithful, right? But for whatever reason, people, they like to dump their gear, Yeah. So, I mean, from 2004 to 2010, I got so much stuff, dude, in thrift stores. So
the Dennis Erickson up to the Harbaugh.
Yeah,
that's your lucky number. You got it for 30. You said, right?
Yeah, I got it for 30.
Number 3, so, man.
Hey, like what Shifty was saying, he brought out some good points. We're not getting consistent pressure with 4. And I think maybe, like all the talk about this is a great defense. Yes, 100%. But is this the best defense? No, maybe the 84 is the best defense. But going back to like 2011, 2012, when we had Alden Smith, we had the Cowboy, you didn't know what side was coming at you. You really didn't. And with this point, we do, maybe next offseason, they'll go after somebody who can, be a swing, for Bosa, because at this point, you just really have to chip Bosa. And if they can disguise the blitz, that's going to help. But right now with Hufanga coming up, and I said it earlier, Stidham calling him out, or that's not helping. But it is week 17. They can clean up some things. And then hopefully, because we got good corners. We just got to really maintain coverage. There was times where they were in position. And, there's times too where you guys can go back and everybody can watch the video. There was times where like Bosa's getting held and it's clearly in the picture and they're going deep and they catch the ball, but they did that, go back to the picture and his head's up and there's just points so those calls sometimes don't always get made. So sometimes they will get made.
Oh my God, man. Today was horrible.
Yeah, I don't really like that.
And it wasn't just Bosa either.
No. So I seen that, and I'm not, like trying to be a, homer here, but there's definitely some calls that aren't getting made on a consistent basis, especially with Bosa. So
for a certain team, at least.
And I think, to me, and sorry to cut you off, Wolf, but to me, one of the big things in this game that, like, I don't know if people realize, but the Raiders are like, they have a lot of really good offensive players, and what I saw was. And where the Niners have seemed to struggle all year long was in the fact that, like, when there is when there's like a play where it's like the quarterback is like running around, then the play breaks down. I think that if Niners are very good when things are structured, when they're like, look, I go to this zone, I go to that zone, I guard, I cover this guy. But when the play breaks down defensively, I think that's where the Niners struggle. And I think we've seen that across a number of games this year. And like we saw it even just today, where like Stidham ended up throwing it to Devontae Adams for a 60-yard touchdown, and no one was within like 5 or 6 yards of him. And when you look at replay, all the players ended up coming towards Stidham because they thought he might run for a first down, where it's like, look, I think that, and I don't know how these guys are coached and whatever, but like there's like a
shit
case
play, man.
made where it's like someone has to stick with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, you think?
If Stidham runs for a first down, that sucks, but we'll live to play another down. But someone still has to stay with Devontae deep. And we saw it like time and time again. We saw it against week 1 against the Bears when Justin Fields was run around. He threw it to Dante Pettis and it was a touchdown. And I mean, it's a tricky game to play because look, I'm not a coordinator or anything, but of course, you want to tell your players, play aggressive, play to your speed. We heard Robert Saleh say, like, want to hit him fast, want to hit him hard, it's be aggressive, but you also have to be smart too. And I think the 49ers defense, the issue is that if Bose is not getting pressure, then really no one else is. And I think that's what kind of maybe causes the 49ers to have to blitz Hufanga, blitz Fred Warner, Greenlaw, Jimmy Ward, whoever else. But when it comes down to the fact of the game where it's like, I think that's the Niners. If something will hold the 49ers back, it's going to be that outside of Nick Bosa, we don't have a true legitimate pass rusher.
Yeah.
And, we saw the Eagles, they added Robert Quinn, and I don't even know what the hell he's done over there. Probably nothing, it sounds like. But if you can add that second option, that could make all the difference where it's like, hey, you just can't account for Bosa. Like there's other guys who can get after you. And I think this is where, and I'm sure that like D'Amico and the entire defensive staff are going to say, look, Samson, Drake Jackson, like, hey, great interception. That was an awesome play. Good for you. But also pressure the freaking quarterback by yourself. You can't just rely on Bosa to do that. And look, we can beat teams like the Raiders, but I think when it gets to the playoffs and teams are going to chip Bosa, and Bosa's probably actually going to not be a huge factor in a lot of these pass rushing
and
plays.
Double teams.
Yeah, but there has to be someone else who can get there. I love Armstead. Maybe he can be the guy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nice
Armstead,
switch on the jacket, by the way, Bryant.
Show off. That's what's up, man. That's so damn cool. If you ever find one, you better get one for me. I'll send you the money. I'll send you the money. But Raphael 5629er, I've been letting him wait very patiently. He says thoughts on Robbie Gould. And you guys want to go ahead and take that first?
I want to touch like what Shifty just said real quick, and then jump to that. So what I've noticed between our talks and everybody else, and I think the same thing that's happening with the 2019 defense and our defense currently. How did we lose the Super Bowl? Blown coverage.
2019?
Yeah, blown coverage.
Blown coverage.
Jimmy overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. He slowed down, so you can't say he. Like that.
No, I don't.
And then we didn't use Debo in the third and fourth quarter, and there was just a bunch of other things. But and then Bosa didn't get his sack call, for the holding penalty and stuff. But it was the blown coverage to Tyreek Hill. So if we lose the Super Bowl, or if we get to the Super Bowl, we have to overcome blown coverages. I think that, like Shifty's saying, we have to have somebody who can step up on the other side. And until we can do that, I mean, that's going to be, we either need the sack to come or we need our coverage to hold up. But yeah, Robbie Gould didn't play the best. I'm a big Robbie Gould guy, and I gotta say, yeah, dude, when your job's one thing, make kicks, and you missed that kick.
Yeah, because we were already talking about whether he should retire after this season, especially if the 49ers win the Super Bowl. And I think it's basically that time already, man. But the thoughts overall is like that was uncharacteristic of him. That's not something that he does consistently. So it's just a fluke, I think. It's he's usually very clutch in the playoffs. So let's just wait and see. But I do think he should probably retire after this year, or he's probably going to go to Chicago.
Yeah, let him
Probably going
go.
to go back home.
Well,
You got any thoughts on that, Shifty?
Wolf, I agree with you 100% that I think that to have Robbie now is a good thing because, look, we know in the playoffs he's been essentially automatic. Like, I don't even know if he's ever missed a kick in the playoffs. Maybe one. I don't know that. But yeah, I think that you're right, though. I think that next season we do need to find a different kicker because, like, if we look back at the last couple of years, like, look, I love me some Robbie Gould. I think he's great. He's had a lot of great big time kicks for us, and he'll be a great 49er forever. But, you know, we look at today, he missed a 41-yard field goal attempt to win the game that could have, you know, avoided a potential, you know, that would have avoided overtime. But we even look at like last season against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like we were at Cincinnati and Jimmy hit George Kittle on that really great pass where George Kittle like one-armed it and brought it in. That was about a 45-yard field goal and he missed it. Like Robbie is not like he has missed kicks. He's not perfect. No kicker is, but I do think that we could potentially upgrade there. But I think while we're in this current window, and we are, look, we know that like Robbie Gould in the playoffs is essentially automatic. So I see why that, like, I mean, like you're like right now we're not going to be like, oh, let's get rid of you for some random guy. But I'd like to see next year that maybe we replace the kicker because I like Robbie Gould, but I also think that we can do better.
Yeah. I'd like to see him retire with the Super Bowl ring. The 49ers, you know, can get him out get him out of the hotel room because he literally lives in a hotel like 8 months out of the year. So I'd love to see him be able to retire, go home, back to Chicago. And I'd like to see that third round comp pick that we get for Jimmy, Niners go and use it for a kicker. That's just me.
Didn't Robbie Gould make like a 57 or a 60-yard field goal not too long ago? I think maybe against the Cardinals.
Yeah, he can kick it pretty good, but like
That's what I'm saying.
there's been some times that he's missed it this season
like what the hell
in the past. And it's like those moments you're like, man, dude, we really just were expecting you and just whatever. Like this kick, he totally shanked it. And I know he was kicking from the left side. And maybe it's better for him to kick from the right side because maybe he's going maybe straight on a little bit better. But when he kicked it this way, it almost went in. But you know, again, he was really close. But yeah, I can't defend him on that kick. Your job's to make kicks, man.
Okay.
I mean, I think either way that we have to give Robbie Gould his. I mean, as a 49er, I think Robbie Gould has been a really good 49er. We signed him in 2017 when Shanahan first came in here, and he's been here for what 5 or 6 years, and he's had some really big kicks. I mean, of course, the biggest of which was against Green Bay in the playoffs last year in that terrible weather. It was a 40-something yard field goal. He kicks us into the NFC Championship game. And in the playoffs, he's been really good. Even the week before against Dallas last year, he was really good on multiple 50-plus yard field goal attempts. But, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, I mean, we want to have like a reliable field goal kicker in the playoffs, but you also have to be consistent in the regular season. And like to miss a 41-yarder with the game on the line, you know, do I think we can do better? Yes. Do I think that there's a whole bunch of options out there? Nah, probably not. But Robbie Gould is not the only guy who's ever kicked a football in this league. And there are guys out there who I think would either A, come to the 49ers on a pretty cheap deal, knowing that we are as talented and as good as we are, or else there's a rookie kicker out there, which, as Brian said, look, yeah, maybe Jimmy G goes elsewhere. Maybe, D'Amico gets hired as a head coach. We get an extra 3rd-round pick, and you pick the best kicker in college football.
Yeah.
And then you're good for the next 20 years.
I mean, look at Wisnowski. He was a really great pickup, I think. He's been really good for us.
Yeah, and everybody knocked us for taking him in the 4th round. And I'm like, hey, like sometimes you got to take, players. And then you guys already know, like the sad story with the punt god this year. You have some extracurricular activities outside of football, and you fall into some trouble. Sometimes like that's one of those things about the Niners too. I think that's one reason we didn't go after like Mac Jones is because of his DUI. The Niners want guys that are on their team that it kind of goes back to like Steve Young. He was drinking milk in the locker room when we were winning, games. The other guys are, chugging champagne, and the Niners, they want good guys in the locker room. So, yeah, I mean, like Robbie, he's been great, and he's like the 10th overall in leading scoring points. He's been a great kicker, but like last game, he kicked the ball out of the bounds on kickoff, and it, put the ball in the 40 for us for the other team. And it's just like one of those things. Maybe he just had one of those moments, But we need him to stay good and maybe take a little bit. Maybe he's just getting older, but I still believe in Robbie, and I just want him to win the Super Bowl this year. And then maybe if he wants to go somewhere else next year, that's fine. But I'm a big Robbie Gould fan.
I would put it this way, and I think, Brian, you're 100% right. I'd put it this way. If there's a 40-yard field goal for us to advance in the playoffs to the Super Bowl, I'm trusting Robbie Gould. If it's a playoff game, we got to kick a field goal. And if it's not like a 60 whatever, if it's like a 40 whatever yarder, I trust Robbie Gould. But can we improve? I think so, yeah. But I think a lot of teams could say that about a lot of positions on their team. So if I had to guess, I would assume that maybe Robbie Gould probably retires at the end of this year, and we'll see what happens from there. But maybe not. Maybe he stays. But ultimately, you want a kicker who, within 50 yards, is consistent, hit it. As good as Gould. And I love Robbie Gould, and he's kicked a lot of big kicks for the 49ers. So regardless of whatever happens, he will be a guy who goes down. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm in San Francisco and if I see Robbie Gould at a bar, I'm buying him a drink.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Hey guys, I got another brother in here. His name is John Jay. I'm gonna add him to the chat real quick.
Oh, hey.
Sorry to have you waiting, John Jay. Sorry. Thanks for being patient, man.
What's up, everybody?
Let's see how we could do this real quick.
John Jay, the man, the goat.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Yeah. Yep.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I heard what happened, hopefully everything's well, man. But I'm glad you're back on YouTube.
Right on. Thank you. Hell yeah. Real quick, John Jay, I'm going to let you give your thoughts. I'm just going to remind everybody in the chat real quick. If you guys could please, if you guys want to leave a comment or question specifically for the panel, please leave 4 flame emojis in your comment or question. That way we get to it. It helps me sift through what is specifically for us and not just the conversation going on in the chat. So I would appreciate it. Thanks, guys. John Jay, what are your thoughts on the game today, man?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I was not happy during the entire game at the defense. For the first time in a very, very long time, I would always criticize the offense. I would always criticize Shanahan.
He said the first time in like 2 months.
It's been a while, but at the end, but the thing about, the Raiders, like they came out and just like David was telling me on my stream earlier, they punched us in the mouth. And they came out to play. They showed us that, you're not going to come in here and beat us very easily. And they came out strong. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I want to say a great positive that most people have to start to respect is Brock Purdy, what he did in the second half.
Yes, sir.
What he did, we were down 17-14, and then a bad, coverage. Devontae Adams gets wide open for a 60-yard touchdown. And everyone's, oh my gosh, Brock Purdy, can he do this on the road? And 5 drives, 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. He went 4 consecutive drives, scoring drives. And that's what a quarterback is. When you're trailing on the road, and you're able to come and take that team and score 4 different possessions. Yeah. Robbie Gould could have had a drive to take the lead and a failed drive that, you guys talked about. Robbie Gould could have had a game-winning drive. He could have had the game-leading drive in the fourth quarter and the game-winning drive at the same game. But Robbie Gould missed the field goal. You guys talked about it already. Yep. I talked about it on my stream. But the defense came out strong. We got the interception, and we won the game. Robbie Gould redeemed himself in overtime, got the game-winning kick, and we won in a very, very tough game against a team that had very little to play for, barely any playoff, relevancy, and we knocked them out of the playoffs. And the Niners learned a very difficult lesson that this is the reason why you need a quarterback, because there's going to be moments when the defense is going to have some struggles. Struggles. And Brock Purdy stepped in there, and I think he's one of 5 rookie quarterbacks to go 4-0 in his first 4 starts. So congratulations to Robbie Gould. Good victory for the Niners. And this is a reminder for all Niner fans. It's not going to be an easy road now. Now it's playoff football. The Cardinals are going to be a very dangerous team that has nothing to play for. And then we got to play the top teams in our conference if we want to get that big 6 Lombardi. So it's real football now. It's real football. That's my thoughts on the game.
Yes, sir. John Jay, I love it, man. I love it. That was one thing about Brock Purdy that was a big question mark. Can he lead drives like Garoppolo did a few times, leading 2-minute drives to win us games, man? And he did more than really we should have asked from him, but he did his part, man. It was great. He carried the team when the defense wasn't, and then the defense got a chance to readjust to what was going on, and they got the big stop at the end too. With shout out to Bosa and his bull rush, man. That was beautiful. Real quick, Raphael 5629er, I've had him waiting. I've had everybody in the chat waiting. I apologize. We got a great conversation going on tonight. He says Giants are not resting players against the Eagles. If Eagles lose and Niners win, Niners get the first seed, and if Cowboys win their division. So I'm assuming that means if Cowboys win their division, they're getting the 2nd seed now. That I didn't know.
Yep.
Very interesting, man. So you guys heard it here first, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I know, I actually found out during the game that if the Eagles lose out and the Cowboys win, they win the division because of the records. They'll have the number 2 seed. And if we win, we get the number 1 seed. And who would have thought? Cowboys and Niners possibly 1 and 2. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Saints and Packers today. That is, man, everything we could hope for right there. But Memphis, Maine in the house. Niner Gang Wolfcast. Salute, fam. Niner Gang over everything. Hey, 100%. I appreciate it. Thanks for tapping in, Memphis, man. Thanks for being here. Hope you're having a great day. Do you guys have any thoughts on any of the stuff we just been talking about?
Really quickly, we all talked about special teams really quickly, and I know I don't want to defend Robbie, but we do have to remember he made 2 field goals before he missed that one. The Niners should have went down there and scored 4 touchdowns, and not 2 and 2 field goals. It should have been 4 touchdowns. We wouldn't even have this situation, but for him just to go down and keep us competitive, and keep us in the game, he did what he needed to do, but can't be shaking the field goal at the end of the game like that. I looked at my wife and I was like, man, this is what championship teams do. They win games that they have to win. And, we intercepted the game ball in overtime, and we start running it down. And I'm like, this is how we're going to win. And, it was 2 plays. They lined Robbie up, and that's how you win. So I'm really excited.
I know.
Shifty. Sorry, guys. I was going to say, let's go clockwise. That way we don't have everybody talking over everybody, if that's cool with you guys. So let's go Shifty and then John Jay, and then we'll get back to me.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what John Jay said. I think John Jay hit the nail on the head. Look, this was a good win for the 49ers, and I think we needed this win. Not like maybe the defense didn't need this win, but I think that Brock Purdy needed this win where, look, things aren't always going to go your way. Like, we look at the game against the Commanders, against the Dolphins, against whoever, and I think he had it kind of easy where it's like, hey, well, the defense will back you up. Like, even if you make a mistake, the defense has got you. But in this game, the defense didn't have him. So I thought that was a huge difference here. And I love seeing Brock Purdy. Look, we were down. There was like 1 minute, 11 seconds left, and he brought the team down and blah, blah, blah. And it was Robbie Gould who missed. Look, if it was Robbie Gould who missed like a 59-yard field goal, that's different. I would say, look, there's less than a 50-50 chance that he makes that. But we're talking about, Brock Purdy brought Robbie Gould within a 41-yard field goal attempt. Robbie Gould needs to hit that, and he didn't. Yeah. And that's on him. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest thing is the fact that, like, Brock Purdy brought the team down there. And look, we got lucky because here's the thing. When it was that play where Brock Purdy eventually, it somehow ended up in Ayuk's hands.
Yes.
The linebacker for the Raiders came on a blitz, and Brock Purdy threw it, but he kind of got hit as he threw it. The ball flipped up, and luckily we actually had Brandon Ayuk on a shorter route. But what Brock Purdy was actually looking for was Kittle.
The touchdown.
For the touchdown. And look, if Brock Purdy did not get hit, maybe that was a touchdown. Game over. We're happy. See you later. But
yes, sir.
There's also a part of like luck being involved. And look, Brock Purdy did get hit, and the ball flipped up, and I was kind of like, oh my God. But Brandon Ayuk happened to be there. It wasn't for Brandon Ayuk, but Ayuk. And let's give Ayuk the benefit of the doubt here. Let's give Ayuk a lot of credit that he was like, look, and I'm sure he knew it. Like, these guys know the plays. They know the play calls. They're like, I'm going to run this route, but the odds of the ball coming to me are probably slim to none. But he saw the ball. He's like, I got to go for it. Bam, he did. And it worked out really well, of course, for us. But I think that, like, when it comes down to it, like, of course, next week against the Cardinals, and who knows who their quarterback will be, I want to see the defense play a lot better. We can't be giving up all these completely open routes over the middle. We can't be doing this, that. But I think in this game in particular, I guess I'm a glass half full guy, but I would say that it's good that Brock Purdy faced some adversity. It was a tough situation. Look, there's a minute 11 left. He drove the team down to win the game, and he put us in a situation to win that any reasonable kicker would kick it. It's not on him that the game went to the overtime, but look, I think Brock Purdy is a very good quarterback. I think he's very poised. I think he has the mobility, and he has also a lot of the benefits that Jimmy G has. Are we perfect offensively? No, but no offense is. So I do feel really good about this team, and especially the fact that, like, when we head into week 18 now, look, we have the Cardinals, and it's going to be David Blau, I think, who's playing. Like, I mean, David Blau is playing quarterback for the Cardinals. Like, I'd like to think that this will be a game that we can build our confidence defensively, and also that Purdy maybe plays only the first half, but like we score some points and we're like, hey, if Philadelphia loses, we're the number 1 seed. We get a bye week. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and we can prepare for that. We're not guaranteed that, but I think that the Niners, we're in a good situation. But to end it off very quickly, it's like, I obviously wish we blew out the Raiders. I wish we won by 30 points, but I think it's also good that Brock Purdy learned on the road to come from behind, and he played good enough to come from behind, and we won the game. So, and I think the defense, there's a lot to be learned on the defensive side of things. D'Amico Ryans, look, I know you're probably gonna get a head coach job somewhere else. You still have a job to finish up here in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. All right, John Jay, go ahead, bro. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. It's always good listening to Shifty, because he always brings up a lot of good points. I want to
love you, John Jay.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. I want to piggyback something that Bryant and Shifty said about basically the first what Brian said about we should have had more touchdowns and instead of field goals. But you have to understand one thing: scoring drives is the word score. It's not touchdown drives. It's called scoring drives. So 14 points, 20 points, 2 field goals, and 2 touchdowns, 20 points. Okay.
Yeah.
No one can say I don't want 20 points. So that's always good. It's always good to have the points, because we were trailing 24-14, and then we scored 20 points. And then one thing that Shifty said perfectly, very, very perfectly, is that when your quarterback sets you up and your kicker responsibility is to make sure to get that ball between the two, get
uprights.
The field goal. Yes.
Yeah.
And when Robbie Gould came out there, I'm like, all right, this is the problem.
Yeah.
And I know this football team, Robbie Gould, 40 yards and more, he's not automatic no more. He's not. Done. No one's going to change my mind. Done. Simple. Disagree with me. That's okay. I'm done. But when he kicked that ball started to curve. And yes, it was barely just a little bit, but that ball started curving. Why did the ball curve? How did he kick it? How was the placement, etc.? I've coached football. I've told people how to kick the football. So this guy is a veteran kicker. You got to kick that. You got to make that, because this is a serious game. Because if, say, we didn't get that interception and somehow they ran down the field, scored a touchdown, guess what the headline tomorrow? Robbie Gould missed the kick that allowed the Raiders to get the ball in overtime and scored a touchdown. Now, I don't know if that would have happened. I know we would have got the ball back. But the point of the matter is that we are now entering playoff football. Gould, by missing that, again, the special teams coordinator has to let them know, hey, our offense did the job. We're the special teams now. We got to do what the special team, is supposed to be doing. So at the end of the day, when he missed that field goal, I was like livid. I'm like, I knew it. I knew it in my heart. He was going to miss that field goal. And at the end of the day, luckily the defense did their job. They stepped up at the right moment. Gibson got all the way, I think, inside the 10-yard line. They took a knee to place. They took a knee to place the ball for Robbie Gould. They didn't take that knee because they wanted to. They knew he could not make that field goal.
Yeah.
I gotta pull that one back because we were a little bit closer. And we had talked a little bit earlier. The kick that he missed was on the left side, and when he kicked it at a crooked angle. The placement, the snap was good, but when he kicked it, it was the corner of the ball that he got, and he did kick it and push it towards the right side of the field goal. It was very close. If he would have been maybe on the 40 or the 39, maybe it went in. But regardless, I think did the Niners score 3 touchdowns? It was 21, right? Because the Raiders, it was 14-17. Then I think the Niners scored a 3rd touchdown. Then we scored the field goal that put us 24. Then we scored the next field goal. Then we put 27. I'm always down for taking the points, but if we would have scored 28. If we would have scored, another touchdown after that, it wouldn't have been this situation. So it's one of those things. It was kind of like what we had going on with Garoppolo too. We settle for field goals, and when we settle for field goals, it bites us in the butt. And it's one of those things too. You've seen it with Garoppolo too. They used to try to do the quarterback sneak and get the ball in the center of the field, so Robbie had a better shot at it. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's his preference. But no, you got to make it, man. Regardless if it's 41, 31, you got to make it.
I'll agree. I kind of agree with both of you guys here, because I agree with John Jay is that it's like, we had to move the ball to the middle, but I also agree with Brian. But I think that once Tashawn Gibson intercepted that ball, he brought it back to like the 10-yard line. And then there was also a penalty. Well, there was a penalty. I mean, I just did that twice. There was a penalty against. There was a penalty. Hello, but there was a penalty against the Raiders where it was a personal foul. I think it was against like Mac Hollins, where Tashawn Gibson brought it back within the 10. And then with the penalty, it was also basically it's like half the distance to the goal. So we're at the Raiders' 5-yard line. And I think that what the Niners wanted to do at that point, they were like, look, Robbie Gould is a veteran guy. He missed the 41-yard attempt. However, it was, first and goal in overtime, and all we needed was a field goal to win the game. So that's why you saw we came out in the victory formation, but Purdy came, as soon as he snapped the ball, Purdy came over to the middle and then knelt it. And it's like, look, we know that Robbie can, this is basically like the old extra point. Look, I agree that the fact that like Robbie had missed the kick, the 41-yard kick earlier that sent the game to overtime. So it's like, that's an issue. 100% that is an issue. But also, could you imagine, right? Imagine if like Tashawn Gibson has the interception. We return it to the 10. Oh, there's a flag. We have the ball at the Raiders' 5-yard line. Imagine it's like, and I saw people in like my chat. They were like, well, run the ball to McCaffrey or Mason. Could you imagine if the ball gets snapped and there's a bad snap? Imagine if it's a good snap, but you snap it and you give it to Mason or McCaffrey or whoever, and they fumble the ball. That would be an all-time egregious, like, what the hell were we doing? So I think that when you have a kicker like Robbie Gould, if we have a rookie kicker whose confidence is clearly shook, that's different. But we have Robbie Gould. He's 40-something years old. Like, he's been here, done this. That's when you snap the ball, you move it to the middle, you move it to wherever Robbie wants it. Robbie obviously told them, look, I want it the 5-yard line, give me the middle, and I'm happy. And that's all I need. Yeah. And that's what happened. But, I did see some people, even like in my chat, they were like, well, run the ball. And it's like, could you imagine if they snapped the ball to Purdy under center and the ball snapped and it's fumbled? Could you imagine if they gave it to Jordan Mason? And I love Jordan Mason. Could you imagine TDP, Christian McCaffrey, whoever? But also, could you imagine if they fumbled the ball? The outroar of 49 would be like, oh my God, we can't do this. But I think that I think the 49ers played it well. I think that honestly, the whole issue was the fact that, look, and I will put blame on Robbie Gould. It was a 41-yard field goal attempt. You need to make that. And the fact that you missed that, if we lost the game, regardless of what happened, that's on you, because if you're a kicker in the NFL worth your salt, you should say, look, essentially, regardless of the conditions, and in Las Vegas, they have a dome, so it's not like it's snowing or whatever. If you can't make a 41-yard kick and your team loses, you'd be like, that's on you.
You're going to get ran out of town.
That's on you. But luckily, it worked out for us. And we scored, we won the game, and we deserved to win the game, even though our defense was awful.
Yeah, we have Glock Purdy. But all right, guys, I'm going to try and get through some of these comments. So let's do kind of like a lightning round, and let's keep it short and sweet. Remember, anybody who wants to leave a specific comment or question for us, the panel, leave 4 flames or 4 flame emojis in your comment / question, whatever it is. But we got Raphael 5629er here says, remember, Purdy is missing Debo and Mitchell. Yeah, man. And that's why one of the things, like, why I want to kind of save them for the playoffs is, man, when they show up, man, it's probably going to be a whole different ball game. You give them those 2 guys. I don't think Brock Purdy's gotten to start a game with Elijah Mitchell. So I think that's going to be badass. Raphael 5629ers also says, thoughts on Juice today. Personally, Juice, I feel like, is always pretty damn great and versatile. I was really happy today that on short yardage, Kyle Shanahan didn't try and call one of those stupid, cute little plays that he did on 4th and 1 last week, and he just gave it up to Juice right up the middle. Don't be cute, just do the damn thing. Get the yardage. Don't be doing that stupid shit, man. So I was really happy to see that today. Glad they made the adjustment to do that, and congrats to Juice for getting that beautiful gain on to get first down.
Yeah, I
You
think
guys,
he fooled the camera guy at first because when it happened live, everybody was like, and it was going to the left side, and when it came back, I was like, no, Juice got the ball, so I was really surprised because, yeah, I think he's very, very underutilized.
very much so.
Yeah,
Any quick thoughts on that, guys?
I agree. I think Juice was great. Check was great. A lot of the big running plays we had, he was right there to help spring the block, and even he had a really nice run. Yeah, I think we came out on like I formation, but it was like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. Handed it to Check. He got like 5 or 6 yards. So yeah, great game. Check is so good, but I'm gonna leave it there.
100%. John Jay, any thoughts?
About Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah, Kyle Juszczyk did really well today. And a lot of people forget he's a fullback. His primary job is to block for the running backs. And one of the things that I saw was when he ran down the field. I don't know if it had to be McCaffrey, where he ran in front of a defender and like tackled him, knocked him down, allowed McCaffrey. I don't know if he scored a touchdown, but it allowed an open lane for McCaffrey to get open space and to go down the field. And that's the thing about Kyle Juszczyk. Of course, a lot of people want him to have more catches, more rushing, touches. But at the end of the day, just like when it comes to Kyle Juszczyk, the money that he's being paid, he should be doing much more than he should be doing. But his primary is a fullback. So that's my thoughts of Kyle Juszczyk.
The thing is, I think something that's very underestimated about his game is if you talk to the O-line, you talk to George Kittle, you talk to running backs, even quarterbacks, they'll tell you that one of the best jobs that Kyle Juszczyk helps out with and does outside of blocking is he helps call out the protections. So the center is always one guy that should be taking care of that. So Jake Brendel, right? But Kyle Juszczyk is another guy from the backfield that helps call out protections to like Mike McGlinchey, whatever side of the field he's lined up to. So he helps everybody get situated as well with not just blocking, but schematically before the snap. Raphael 5629er says, should Debo return kickoffs and a punt return in the playoffs? I think so. I think very much so. He was utilized last year in that aspect of the game and had a lot of great success, even though he was super beat up. So let's do it again this year. Ray McLeod's doing good, but he's not having those super explosive plays. I think on Debo's first ever kickoff return, he got like 70 yards. So let's just mix it up a little bit. Let's go clockwise. If you guys have any thoughts on that, if not, just say pass.
I disagree. I think that it should be Ray who returns the kicks and the punts. I think Ray in the last 2 months, he hasn't had any issues, and I'm going to knock on wood for that. Yeah. But Ray hasn't fumbled anything. He hasn't had any issues. He's returned the ball quite well. And I don't want to have Debo back there returning a kick, and Debo returns the kick. Hey, he takes the ball from the goal line, returns it to the 38, and then, Debo's hurt. He's like down in the field. I would rather look Ray. He's done a great job. Hasn't screwed up. Give Ray the ball there. That's what we brought him in for. And then let's have Debo for the offense.
Brian.
So first off, I think Ayuk returns kicks better than Debo or Ray. I think when Ayuk started returning kicks last year, it was because he wanted to, get the ball. He wanted the rock. He wanted to be a playmaker. I do like Debo, and I like his aggressiveness, and I like when they do spark him, say, hey, let's let you try to do something. And if he says, give me the ball, then more than give the man the ball, okay? But I don't want, and Shifty, I love you and I agree with you, but I don't want to ever say I'm afraid to give a player the ball because they could get hurt. Then they just really shouldn't be on the field. Because in the same sense, then you shouldn't be giving Ray the ball. You know, I mean, like if Ray runs out and gets hit and we get a great return, but we lose Ray for the rest of the season or the playoffs, then it's we got to put somebody else back there. So the only reason I would really say put Debo in there is for a spark if Ray's not doing something that he isn't doing right now. Because at this point, Ray's doing really good. But out of the three that I said, I think you put Ayuk back there and let him tear it up. But that's me.
He's doing pretty good. I wouldn't say really good. John
Every
Jay?
game, he seems to be doing a little bit better. So
That's true. That's true. John Jay?
I am going to say that your returner is the returner, and Ray McCloud is the returner. Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver, not a returner. Brandon Ayuk is a wide receiver, not a returner. That's why they're given those special designations. Ray McCloud is a wide receiver and kick return specialist. Just like there are some corners in the NFL who are cornerbacks, but don't play cornerbacks. They are return specialists for a reason. That's why a punter is not a kicker. A punter is a punter. Okay. They can't kick if they want to, but at the end of the day, you play your specific designation. This is the thing that a lot of people get wrong all the time. Yes, players can, try to return, kicks, but the special teams coach designates who the returner is. And again, one of the reasons why we don't have our receivers returning, because as a kick punt returner, there's a bigger chance of getting hurt. That's why the NFL has their dumb, arbitrary rules that make no sense, that they're trying to eliminate, these types of, collisions. So that's why Ray McCloud does the heavy lifting on the punt and kick returns.
Well, I love that we're disagreeing today. I love that we chose fighting today.
Yeah.
One sec, Brian. When it comes to Debo and not having the designation, if that were true and that were the case, then he never would have become a wide back. We never would have had an explosive season like we did last year out of him. So I definitely disagree with John Jay there, and then also with Shifty, where when it comes to Debo, he's not having the production that he had last year towards the tail end of the season. And so to utilize him to a higher extent, I think they should try maybe a couple times every now and then to just mix it up, a little more physicality in the kickoff return. Because like I said, he got one on his very first one. He got like 70 yards. So I don't see why not. But
I mean, look, I do have to step in here. I have to step in here that, like, look, we know that, like, in the playoffs last year against Green Bay, it was the start of the second half. They kicked it off, and Debo was the guy back there. He took it up to the Green Bay 50. But to make, I think that's a bit of a stretch where it's like to say, well, he did that once and that's great, as opposed to, well, he is now the full-time kick returner.
No. The question was, should we let Debo return kickoffs and punt returns, not to make him
we should. No, we should.
Yeah, no, definitely not that. I agree with that 100%.
We shouldn't let him return punts or kickoffs. I mean, look, I would say this, right? Imagine if it's a Super Bowl and we're down by like how many, let's say we're down by like 5 or 7 points. Yeah. And if it's like 3 minutes left in the game and they kick off to us, do I want Debo back there? Sure, because he's probably our best offensive player. That I would be okay with because we know how good Debo is. But in general, he shouldn't be back there. And I would say that. But I think that I think Ray's done a good job. I think that the other players are doing a good job. But unless it's absolutely necessary, I would rather save Debo for the offense where we all know that we're going to use him running the ball, throwing the ball to him. We rely on his physicality. So
let him throw the ball again too.
If there's 3 seconds left in the game and we're down and they're going to kick the ball off, Debo should be back there. But if not, then I would rather not have Debo back there unless it's absolutely necessary. But because I think the Debo's so good in other roles. So, and at the end of the day, I would say, look, I think I believe that Ray's done a good job returning the ball in the last 2 or 3 months. So I don't think he's had any issues. I think he's done a good job. I think he has done a reasonable job. He's brought the ball out to where I would have expected it to. And so I would say, hey, Ray, you keep doing your thing. And look, if it's 3rd and 2 and we need a first down, I'm going to hand the ball to Debo, not you, Ray. But also when it comes to the kickoff, it's like, Ray, this is why we brought you in, to have the good return, to get us those extra 5 or 10 yards, to win the game. So,
Brian?
I have to hop in here. Like, I'm sorry, but when it comes to this question about, any of our receivers returning again, I stand by the statement. If you're the returner, there's a reason why they have you as the returner. When it comes to what Debo did last year compared to this year, here's something that has happened from last year to this year. Debo last year had a really, really good year. Brandon Ayuk in the first 5 weeks of the season, we were not using him because of Kyle's decision. For whatever the reason, what's his name? George Kittle, had some early, injury. So Debo had to step up, and Debo carried a lot of the load. This year, our leading receiver is Brandon Ayuk. Our second leading receiver is George Kittle. That's why his numbers have diminished. And when we brought in Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel's production dipped because we have so many weapons. Jawan Jennings has been a very clutch 3rd down guy. So those are the things. So yes, the numbers are going to diminish. I know fans are not happy that Debo is not running the football anymore. He's not catching the football, and he's not doing what he did last year. But Debo is a product of the team around him, and that's the reason why Debo's not being very productive. So if you have to incorporate him in certain kickoff situations, punt situations, why not? But at the end of the day, I wanted to just put that on the record that there's no one should be angry that Debo's not producing what he's producing, because there's just so many weapons. What do you want to do? Tell Ayuk to stop catching the ball? Tell Kittle to stop doing his job? Tell Christian McCaffrey? No, they're football players, and the quarterback makes a decision who gets the ball. All right, throw the ball to Debo, but there's 3 people on him. Throw the ball to Debo. No, you throw the ball to the wide open player. So I wanted to get that out there.
Brian? Brian.
Like Debo, with like one. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it's
I can hear
you.
you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
There we go.
You can't see me anymore? Okay.
No, I
We
can.
see you. We see you.
So CMC and Debo, they played like one game together. So and then here's a question too, guys. Deion Sanders, didn't he return punts and kicks? And he played like wide receiver too and cornerback?
Yep.
So like sometimes like you got players that are like better than anybody else on the field. And obviously like Debo's like one of those better players that's on our field. I know, he's technically a wide receiver, but he's an offensive weapon. He's a wide back. He actually is a better wide back than he is a wide receiver, whether or not you agree or don't. He doesn't catch the ball as well as Ayuk. He doesn't catch the ball as well as Kittle. There's CMC catches the ball better than Debo. But when Debo has the ball in his hand, he's deadlier than any other player on our team. So again, like Shippy said, if it's 3 minutes left and you want to let Debo run it, let's let Debo run it, or return it. But for right now, Ray's been playing really good. I think he's just been getting better and better. But if Debo says, "Give me the rock," you give Debo the rock, and that means you got to hand him the ball or you got to throw him the ball. You get that guy the ball. So I mean, this is a great conversation because I mean, like literally, we got like 4 or 5 people that could return the ball and could really just change the game. So it's up to the Niners, but like again, with a special team player, designated in like back to what John was saying, Pat McAfee's a really good. He was a punter. but he used to kick the ball off. So like you're special, but you do what you're good at. And if you go to the coach and say, hey, I can kick the ball, I can catch the ball, I can run the ball. You got CMC. He's a triple crown, because he can pass, catch, and run. So I mean, we just got to use these guys at their potential.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and I agree. When you're a football player, like you learn how to play. The same thing. For good example, I played baseball. I had to learn catcher, pitcher, outfield, infield. I had to learn those positions. When you were starting young, you didn't say I want to play this. No, you have to learn how to play every position. These football players have tried. Like you see them in practice. The wide receivers are throwing the football like quarterbacks. You're seeing the running backs, try to kick the ball. But you understand the simple concept. Every player knows how to do that stuff. Like Kyle Juszczyk, he jokes around. He said, when I was at Harvard, I used to do quarterback. He did. So at the end of the day, these players have played positions. You talk about Deion Sanders was a very intriguing player for those. I never watched him. I watched him when he was on the Ravens. I never saw him in his glory days. But Deion Sanders, even when he was in his 40s and still intercepting the passes with the Ravens in 05 after like a few years after he was retired, that's very different. Like, if a 40-year-old player tries to come back, no, like Deion Sanders was a very special player, just like Tom Brady is a very special player to be playing in his 40s. Yeah, I agree. If Debo wants to return, if he wants to run the football, Kyle has to make that decision. And if Kyle says, it's not best for our team, that's just how it is. It's just how it is.
When the situation calls for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Wolf, man.
But all right, guys, let's try and get through some of these comments quicker.
Wolf, great show. I'm going to jump out. Right. Shifty, John, dude, everybody, great show. I'd love to do this, guys, with you again. Super happy for the win. Everybody stay faithful and look forward to talking to all you guys again. You guys have a great night.
You too, man.
All right, take care, Brian.
Thanks for being here. All right, we're going to try and close out the show pretty soon, but Raphael 5629er, compliments on your prior question. Also, when we got a debate on something like that for a good while, it's probably the sign of a good question. So compliments. He also says, is DeMeco Ryans getting exposed? I think so. Robert Saleh was getting exposed a lot of times, especially in the Super Bowl, and DeMeco Ryans comes from that tree of coaching staff. So I think a very similar thing is happening here. You guys?
I disagree 100%. Sorry, Wolf. I love you, man, but I disagree because here's the thing. People say like, well, the Kansas City Chiefs, they exposed the 49er defense that DeMeco Ryans was doing so great with. And then what happened in the last 8 or 9 games? Not a whole lot.
Well, let me answer that real quick. Sure. Emmanuel Mosley had just got hurt, out for the season. It's the very first game Diamador Lenore was put on the outside. So I think they just needed a time to get acclimated with the defense, having Lenore in there instead of Mosley.
Look, I'm a big fan of Emmanuel Mosley. I think he's really good, but I guess the difference is that, like, do I think Mosley is better than Lenore? Yes, I do, of course. Do I think it's so significant that it goes from like, hey, we're the best defense in the NFL to then no, I don't agree with that. So I think that Kansas City saw a weakness in our defense and they exploited it. And that was without Emmanuel Mosley. Diamador Lenore was out there. I think that the next 2 months of the year, like when you look at the game after that, we played against the Rams, we played against the Chargers, we played against a whole bunch of good offenses. Like, are they not sitting there thinking, you know what, let's do what Kansas City did? Of course they are, because they're like, they put up 44 points, but they weren't able to do that. So, and I think that it's like, look, did the Raiders expose us today? I think maybe to a certain degree. I actually think that it's more on our defense just not coming to play. But it's like, look, Kansas City has maybe they're not still the number one offense rated in the NFL to like right now, but they were putting up like 30, 40 points a game. Like they were Patrick Mahomes and all these weapons and stuff. And it's like, I just think that like the Niners defense is like good. I think that will rebound from this. I don't think that it's one thing that can be like, well, that's how you unlock the Niners defense. Because here's the thing. like D'Amico Ryans, I think, is a really smart guy. I think that all the players on the defenses and all the position coaches for the Niners are smart guys. And I think that they're going to be like, look, here's where we screwed up. We screwed up here. We screwed up here. We screwed up here. But if we don't do that, then that's going to make us better. And I think that's exactly what they did after the game against Kansas City. I think that's what they're going to do after the game against the Raiders. And Josh McDaniels, look, people will shit on Josh McDaniels all the time, and that's fine. But Josh McDaniels has been the offensive coordinator for Super Bowl caliber teams. You could say, oh, it's all Brady, but he's been the offensive coordinator for Super Bowl caliber teams. And Jarrett Stidham has been in that offense for 4 years. Look, no one's saying that Stidham is the next Brady or anything like that. Like, if he is, then oh my God, what the hell? But I think the fact that, like, you have a really good offense, like, think of, like, imagine, like, flipping the scenario here, right? Imagine, and we've seen it before with Kyle Shanahan, where, like, imagine, like, let's go back to 2017, right? Where it's the 49ers against the Jaguars, right? And it's Jimmy Garoppolo has been with the Niners for 2 weeks or whatever. And the Jaguars are on their way to the AFC Championship game, and we beat them. That's not saying that we're necessarily a better team than the Jaguars were that year, but that's saying we have good coaching, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Garoppolo helped us lead, but it's one game. So I think that, look, if the Niners struggle against the Cardinals next weekend, then yeah, I will start to worry. Like, if we give up more than 20 something, if we give up more than 20 points, yeah, I'll be like, I don't like our chances. But it's also a case of every game is different. Like, whether it's like, look, if you have just like, and like, I'm not telling you, Wolf, that you don't know this, but like, I'm just saying in general, like, if you kick the ball off and if they return it to like the 40-yard line, your 40-yard line, at least you're giving up 3 points, right? You have to kind of bank on that. So I think that the Niners are in a good position. I think that I'd like to think that if D'Amico Ryans, he's going to be, we all talked about it. D'Amico Ryans, the next head coach of whatever team he wants. If he is that guy, then he needs to show that he can shut down whatever offense. And maybe Arizona is the proof of that, or in the playoffs.
John Jay.
That's my spirited opinion.
Yeah. So I'm going to be completely honest. Amador Lenore should not have been guarding Devontae Adams.
100%.
Period. Who made that coaching decision? Was it the secondary coach? Was it the quarterback coach? Was it the D'Amico? Okay. We all know Charvarius Ward, and Charvarius Ward also got exposed today. Let's not, give Charvarius. He got exposed today. Okay. But he did the best he can against Darren Waller or whoever their, other receiver is. And Amador Lenore, I think, is 5'9", 5'10". Corners, are not as big. This guy, Devontae, is a big dude, 6'4". Okay, It was an unfair matchup.
Yeah, it was.
If you are
Lenore was there,
why our secondary, and even last week we're getting torched by Dotson, the rookie. Why? Because Charvarius Ward was doing his job on covering McLaurin, but the other corners on the other side was not doing their job. Jimmy Ward got burned when that touchdown that should not have happened because Jarrett Stidham, again, he's not a good – I'm not saying he's great. He's not a good quarterback. He's rolling out. The pass rush can't get him. He's untouched. He throws the ball, and Devontae and Jimmy Ward is running towards the quarterback, leaving. He's the single back safety. So when I look at – it's not the linebackers. It's not the defensive line. The secondary the last couple of weeks has been playing bad. So we cannot just say, yeah, D'Amico, we're going to have some bad games. Yeah, we had a bad game. But at the end of the day, D'Amico's a head coach. He needs to adjust. Did he adjust? No. That 34 points. Explain that 500 passing yards to receivers. So it's sad that we gave up all those yards.
Yeah.
And I am, like I'm angry about that. Like that's why I was angry at the defense today. What did they do that that they could not, that they did in the 8 games that we beat in all the other teams? What did the Raiders do? No, the Raiders they came out and they punched us in the mouth to establish this is not going to be an easy game. As a good future possible coach, if other teams are looking at that, the Raiders have been playing awful this year. They've been winning bad games and losing bad games. So, if I'm someone who's looking at the Miko, he better step up, even though it's a meaningless game for the Cardinals. You got to punch them in the mouth on the defensive side. That's just my thoughts on that. It's just very irritating watching the defense. I was so angry the entire, not at the offense, but at the defense.
Well, John G, I think you're right 100% too. And I think that the Niners defense didn't play nearly as good as it should have been. I do think the Raiders offense deserves a little credit here in this game. Like heading into this game, before this game even started, Josh Jacobs was number 1 in the NFL in rushing. He was the number 1 guy. You look at years past. Oh, Adrian Peterson, number 1 running back. Oh, LaDainian Tomlinson. Oh, Larry, all these guys. He was the number 1 running back. And then you look at the Raiders, and I think that you're right in a lot of ways that the Niners probably underestimated them, and that Devontae Adams, amazing game. I think they really underestimated Darren Waller, but I think that the Niners defense got exposed to a certain degree, but I think that it's maybe not necessarily the Raiders offense I think it's just the Niners just didn't play well. But I think you're right. I think the Niners, if we want to win the Super Bowl, and I'm saying we because we're all Niner fans, if we want to win the Super Bowl, we have to play a lot better on all sides of the ball. And I think that's where you're 100% right. And to me, the biggest concern that I have from this game is the fact that we didn't get any pressure on Jarrett Stidham. Where was the time? And yeah, Jarrett Stidham got hit a couple of times, and I think it was Bosa, but he already had the ball basically out of his hands. But there was no consistent pressure. When you talk about oh, this defense has a great pass rush, we didn't have that. And look, I think our secondary is okay, but when we don't have a great pass rush, the secondary will get exposed. But
yeah, let's try and get through these comments real quick. Let's try and do it a little quicker, guys. Like I said, I got to close out the show, especially before the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, I think I know D'Amico Ryans is the defensive coordinator. His main job is getting his players in the greatest position possible to be successful. I don't think he's been doing that. We saw it was already in question against the Commanders, and it just got worse against the Raiders. So, that trend in itself is not promising. David Villa says, "What up, faithfuls and fellas? Great win. Super happy. Let's keep it going. Great start to the new year. Definitely jumped for joy when we won, but the overall game I did not like. Outside of what the offense did, the rest of it was kind of a shit show." Any quick thoughts on that? No. You're muted.
Shifty, you're muted.
Oh, I see David McNiner's comment here. Sorry, bro. I've been going through the comments in order. He's asking for the link. David, we're probably just gonna have to do a show tomorrow, bro. I'm sorry about that. Because I'm gonna cut this show off pretty soon, so we'll probably just have to do another one tomorrow and catch up with everybody else.
All I want to say was that I think that John Jay hit the nail on the head that this team needs to be better. I think that there are some good things to take away from the game, but I think that the team needs to improve a lot. If we want to be a serious Super Bowl team, when we go up against the likes of the Eagles in Philadelphia, Buffalo, Kansas City, whoever, we need to be better. So I agree with John Jay that there's a lot to improve. And I want to hear John's thoughts. And of course, I want to hear Wolfie, your thoughts too.
Again, is D'Amico a bad coach? No, he's developed a great linebacking core, and that's why he was promoted after Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator. You don't become a defensive coordinator just because Robert Saleh liked you or Kyle liked you. No, you earned it. Fred Warner, third round from BYU. No one knew who he was. Dre Greenlaw from Arkansas, fifth round. No one knew who he was. Aziz, undrafted from Florida Atlantic. He developed these no-name guys, and that's why we have a great linebacking core. He's a good coach. The thing that I'm saying, because I'm reading some of the more newer comments that's coming in the chat, is that what were we exposed today? And the answer is yes, because guess what? How are we exposed? Another team who all the experts on the NFL media, even the 49ers, on the other, YouTube shows were saying this was going to be an easy victory. Fans were saying it. And again, I love this term. It was taught to me. It's called any given Sunday. You can never underestimate your opponent. And the Raiders came out and they showed why. This is not going to be an easy victory. And they put 34 points on us. There's only been a few teams that passed the 28-point mark. Atlanta, the Raiders, who are two teams that are not going to the playoffs. Of course, the Chiefs also scored, and I forgot the other team. But at the end of the day, that's why there's terms trap game, games that are going to be, under, how we look at. But at the end of the day, D'Amico has to really fix up that secondary, and he needs to talk to the secondary coach because, again, they knew a week in advance that Devontae Adams, who are you going to put? You put your best corner, and they didn't do that. They did not do that. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the Raiders, were smart. It's just that the Niners made decisions that were very questionable. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying D'Amico is the problem. I'm saying that if you're seeing what's going on, and I saw Diamador Lenore where Devontae has to put his hands up, Diamador, like, he just picked it up. Oh, this is a small guy, as a joke to say that you're not good as me. So that when that's on TV and they're showing that, that's not the right, that's not the right player on the right player. That's just my thoughts on that.
I agree, John Jay. You're right, and I think that the Niners need to be better. And I'm gonna peace out of here, guys. John Jay, you hit the nail on the head. Wolf, thank you so much for having me on. I'm gonna peace out of here. You're the man. Everybody, subscribe to both of these guys' channels. They are awesome. They work so hard, and they deserve all the credit. So
peace out. Likewise, Shifty. We got to do a one-on-one sometime, man. So we should get in contact soon. Everybody, go check out his channel and. Have a good night, Shifty. Thanks, bro. All right. And then there were two. Real quick, Rob D. Art says, we seem to give mobile quarterbacks the red carpet treatment. I love that. I love that comment. The defense needs to close those lanes, especially against KC or Buffalo. That's what I've been saying, man. When you go into the playoffs, we're going to face almost nothing but mobile quarterbacks. And you're giving Stidham these wide open lanes. You're not jamming up the middle at all whatsoever. You're just leaving it wide open. I don't get it. That's part of the reason why the coverage in the back, the secondary is having issues, is because there is no pressure. And also the quite opposite is they're leaving wide open gaps for the quarterback just have a red carpet in front of them. John Jay.
Yeah. And I already talked about it, and already I said it, so I'll just be quick. Is that when as we get to the playoffs, Dak Prescott can run, even though we did beat him last year. That's a running quarterback. If somehow we played, the Eagles, they have, and last year, as his first year as a starter, only second game of the season, he gave us a tough time. And let's go to the AFC. Joe Burrow can run, Josh Allen can run, and we've seen Patrick Mahomes several times already. They can run. What do those teams have in common? They're in the top 3 of the conference. Those are the teams that are considered the Super Bowl contenders. And what have we failed on was mobile quarterbacks. And Jarrett Stidham, I don't know too much of Jarrett. I know he was with the Patriots for a few years, and and that dude has legs. Like that dude, I thought he was like a pocket quarterback. No, he can run. So sometimes, what you see, on film and what you see on the field is very, very different.
Well, the thing was this, I was telling everybody this week, watch out, because the stats are one thing. I gave Stidham the benefit of the doubt. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go look at his highlights so you can see the positive aspect of his game. One thing that I saw was I was saying I compared him to Marcus Mariota, where, you know, the Falcons had a lot of success with Marcus Mariota basically playing conservatively. They didn't ask him to do too much. When he had a lane in front of him, he was mobile and he could throw on the run. Stidham is the same thing. They didn't ask him to do too much, but our secondary was leaving receivers wide open and lanes wide open. So I don't think Stidham is as great as the highlights might show, but he has some attributes that can lend to be pretty favorable, I think, a little bit. The refs were one-sided, says Rob D. Art. How was that a catch after the review? I completely agree, man. John J., do you want to talk on this a little bit?
Oh yeah. So basically, I saw it live, and so Diamador Lenore got his hand, and when Devontae Adams caught it, the ball was still moving, so he didn't have the full possession. As he was going down, the ball is still moving. He does not have full control. As he's about to go to the ground, it looked like even though he possessed it, it was still moving. And under the rule is if they say it's if the basically they really have to overturn the rule is if they cannot have any evidence. So if it's like it looks like it is an incompletion, but the rule on the field. So we're gonna go on because we don't know. Because even the referees, when they look at it, if they don't know, that's why that's why a lot of fans get angry. No, that was a bad, and that's why a lot of fans say the NFL is a little bit like towards certain teams. But at the end of the day, like I even think the referees did not know how to rule that because I saw it. I didn't know what to call that because that was not a catch.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why they said the play stands instead of, when it's confirmed, they say the play is confirmed. So they didn't really know how to rule it. So they said the play stands, which I still think is complete bullshit because the ball is not supposed to be able to wobble and touch the ground. So bullshit call. I do think the refs were very one-sided. One thing I said coming into this game during the week was that this group of referees of officiating, they're known for throwing the most flags around the league in the NFL for referees. So that group specifically of referees is number one in throwing flags. So I didn't like that coming into this game. Raphael 5629er says thoughts on the goal line stand. It was beautiful, man. That's one positive thing that the defense did today. I love it. So yeah, there was good and bad with all aspects of the game. Offense, special teams, defense, mostly defense though. So that's why we're picking on them a lot today. And D'Amico Ryans. Any thoughts on that, John J?
Thoughts on the goal line stand? Oh yeah. It was basically 4th and inches. And the Niners, again, and Aaron, there were moments where the Niners defense, there was like 3 possessions where the Niners got it under control. And then in the 4th quarter, at the end of the game, again, it's football. Like no one is going to get 3 and outs all the time on defense. There's going to be moments. That's why it's hard to go undefeated, and not allowing points because it's difficult. So you're going to allow points no matter what. But that goal line stand was outstanding, like what that front 7 can do. And of course, like a lot of those guys were out most of the year. So Kinlaw, last week was on the snap count. He's probably still very rusty, So and then Eric Armstead, again, he came back a couple of weeks sooner but he's rusty. So when you do miss a lot of time, your body does. That's why it takes a while. That's why the first 4 weeks of the regular season, football looks bad. That's why bad teams do really well. And then as the teams who are really good, get in football shape, then you start seeing the bad teams really start to lose a lot of games because, and that's the reason why once they're all back in football shape, and when Debo does come back, Elisha, they're going to be a little bit rusty. So hopefully, once the playoff happens, remember, if we do somehow get the 1 seed, that week will really help out. Will it happen? Probably not. But we're now the 2nd seed. We're going to be at Levi's for 2 weeks. 2 weeks before we have to travel.
The one thing we can hang our hat on, and especially Brock Purdy, man, being a rookie, is without Elijah Mitchell or Debo, we're still consistently putting around 35 points up on the board per game. 37 points without Mitchell or Debo Samuel today, man. So just imagine when they come back, they get the luxury, and they should utilize the luxury of not having to be rushed back. Allow them to be rusty. Don't put too much on them. Allow them to progress through the playoffs, man. So be careful with it. We can utilize them in the Super Bowl. That's when it really counts.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think Robbie Gould going to retire after this year. I agree. I don't think we got your thoughts on that, John Jay. Do you want to talk a little bit on it?
Yeah, like in 2017, 2018, and 2019, Robbie Gould showed why we brought him in. But in 2020, he started to regress a little bit. In 2020, he started to miss some kicks. But I was like, 2020, is not a year where you can say players, were garbage that year, because that was not a good year in general. Well, I'll stop right there. But then in last year, he missed some time when he was not kicking. Because he wasn't there, we lost 2 games that were very important to us. One was against the Cardinals, the first game, and then the other game was the Seahawks game, because he wasn't there because of injury. So, yeah. But then, he showed that, he still can kick the ball. This year, has really shown, the last couple of years of regression. I don't know, it's because he's of the injuries that he's got recently, which have not been severe. But when you're a kicker and, you're having some knee pain, that stuff, that really does hinder the way you kick the football. And if Robbie Gould wants to return to the Niners, he's not going to get the $5 million he forced the Niners to pay him after the 2020 season. So if he does want to come back, he has to come back on a team-friendly deal.
100%.
Now, if the Niners say, what, hey, you did really good for us, shout out to you. We may not be able to afford you. Yeah, you do have to look at the next kicker, and that's just a reality. That's why I say this, and I've been saying this all season. It's called the next man up mentality. If that player is better than you, it is what it is, because you want to win. You want to win. You don't care about, we really like this dude. We don't want to, release him. We like him. Doesn't matter. This is called the NFL. It's called Now Football. It doesn't stand for the National Football League. It's called What You Have Done Now Football League.
Yeah. What have you done for me lately? Yeah. I agree, man. I think regardless whether he retires or not, the 49ers should be looking elsewhere to bring somebody fresh in. The one good thing, and I think maybe he was caught off guard because now that Brock Purdy is a quarterback, Robbie Gould's field goals, they're not as prevalent, man, as they were like last year when Garoppolo's a quarterback and you have to rely on so many field goals. You have to settle for field goals all the time. Now Brock Purdy's in here scoring touchdowns, putting up 35, 40 points a game, man. So I think that could be part of it. He's like, oh, shit, I got to go on the field. CG Ruthless in the house. What's up, bro? Everybody go check out this guy too. What's the deal with Hufanga coverage early on? This is annoying because he does this every time in the first quarter. Yeah, it is, man. And that kind of lends into a question that I kind of started thinking about. I was like, man, are we starting to get to a point where, with Hufanga in the beginning of the year, like I was telling everybody, yeah, it's real nice and everything. We'll see what happens when the league starts to catch up to what Hufanga's doing, if he's still going to have that playmaking ability, and his performance is probably going to regress a little bit. Sure enough, that's what's happened. He's allowed 6 touchdowns this season so far, which is not promising, and he's not making the plays that he was making before. So at what point do you start to question whether we should put Jimmy Ward back at safety along with Tayshaun Gibson as a tandem? I'm not saying do it. This is one game with a pretty bad performance from the defense overall. So we're just going to have to wait and see. They know better than we do as of right now, but I am wondering what's going on back there. Any thoughts, John Jay? We got less than 5 minutes.
Okay. I already discussed this when I was talking about the Miko and the defense. Yeah. Ufunga is, just like Lenore and Jimmy Ward. I don't know what's going on with the coverage, so I'll just keep it simple that that I already specify. I don't know what the secondary coach has to do to correct these mistakes, because Ufunga early in the year was doing well, but basically, like even in the Seahawks game, we had some issues, but because the Seahawks, had trouble with our defense. But yeah, just recently, I don't know what has happened, and hopefully they just correct those mistakes.
100%. All right, guys, everybody. I think I'm going to sign out now. I have so much to go over. I'm so behind on comments right now. I really apologize. That's why I try to have you guys throw the 4 flames in the comments to help me sift through them and get through them quicker. But when we have more guests, more perspectives, it takes a little longer to get through the comments. But I think it was a great show, man. I really appreciate everybody coming on. I'll hit this last comment real quick, but yeah, we are going to close out the show. If I didn't get to your comment, I apologize. Please tune in tomorrow and just re-ask or re-comment what you said, and try and get to it as quick as possible tomorrow. It'll probably just be me and another guest tomorrow, so less people. The Niners have the best safety combination in the NFL. Please assure this so chat understands. They did, possibly, but I think if you put Jimmy Ward back there, it'd be an even better safety tandem, because not very often can you take a safety, and really not ever can you take a safety and put him to play a corner, especially a nickel corner. Is typically what happens is when corners start to regress and start to fade away in age, you put him at safety, not the other way around. So that shows how skillful Jimmy Ward is, how badass he is. Now, if you put him at safety, I think we'd be even better. And with the way Tayshaun Gibson has been playing, getting these interceptions and stuff like this, and it doesn't seem like he's the guy getting beat but for touchdowns every game. Talanoa Funga is. He's a young guy. I still think he has a lot of potential, but I think it might be time to make the switch and let either Womack or somebody else play inside. Any quick thoughts, John Jay? We're gonna close out right now.
Yeah, like I think the mistake, and I think a month and a half ago when they made the decision, I was like, no, I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think you do need Jimmy Ward back there. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that Gibson has been playing well. I think what they need to do is basically, and this is going to be like probably a bad idea, but to like use the 3 safeties in different situations. So basically Ufunga in some situations, Jimmy Ward in some situations, and you pair them up, because Tayshaun Gibson has been playing really well, and and since Ufunga has been having some issues, the last couple of weeks, and like you want to make sure, because again, I now understand why he's not a nickel corner. He is not a nickel corner. I was wrong about that.
He's getting beat.
Yeah.
He's getting beat often as well. So safety is something he doesn't really get beat at. Yeah. But John Jay, hey man, I really appreciate you. Love your perspective on things. Everybody. John Jay, you should put your you see how I have the Niner Gang Wolfcast in parentheses? You should do something like that with your name when you come on the stream. That way I could just point to your name on the screen. But everybody, if you guys would do so, please show my guest some love. John Jay, he's at the 49ers Ultimate Report. Go check him out. He streams every weekday, and he has a really good show over there, man. So, John Jay, I apprate you. Oh, he just did it. There you go, guys. Put that in your search bar after the show.
That. I know you want to end the show. If you just give me a minute, it's always great hopping on and talking to every 49er faithful podcaster, etc., because it's always good to get different perspective. We may not always agree. We may have different points of view, but at the end of the day, that's what, banter and, conversations, because you get to see different points of view. But thank you very much for always having me on. Have a good show tomorrow with your great guest. And if you want to go check it out, I just typed it in for the fans who wanted it. It's called 49ers Ultimate Report. I do shows every single day. I'm going to start to incorporate other great content on my channel as well. May not be 49ers content, but I'm starting to branch out and do other great things, like my boy Shifty, how he does streams of other teams as well. and other great things in the off season. So check out 49ers Ultimate Report. I also
Yes,
upload
sir.
shorts, and great content, even upload videos of breaking news and stuff. So check
We
out
have
the
less.
stuff.
We have less than 30 seconds. I have to cut off right now, John Jay.
Yeah.
I
That's it.
apologize.
That's it. That's it. But I appreciate it.
Everybody have a great night. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Go check out John Jay at 49ers Ultimate Report. Have a great night and tune back in tomorrow. Please subscribe and like if you haven't already, guys. Take care. Have a good night, Niner gang. Yeah.